Hello students, let's now start with the next unit, kinematics, which is divided into two chapters according to your CBSE curriculum. Let's start with the first chapter of this, motion in a straight line. Before we jump to the detail of this chapter, let's understand the concept of mechanics first. You know that mechanics is that branch of physics which deals with the conditions of rest or motion of the material objects around us. And it is further divided into three sub-branches. The first one is statics, and it deals with the study of objects at rest or in equilibrium even when they are under the action of several forces. And in it, the measurement of time is not essential. The second one is kinematics, and it deals with the study of motion of objects without considering the cause of the motion. And here, the measurement of time is essential. And the third part is dynamics, which deals with the study of motion of objects, taking into consideration of the cause of their motion also. I'm sure that all of you know about the terms rest and motion. Let's revise these terms quickly. Rest: an object is said to be at rest if it doesn't change the position with respect to surroundings with the passage of time. For example, your book lying on the table, and on the other hand, motion: an object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to surroundings with the passage of time. For example, a train moving on the rails. And you also know that rest and motion are relative terms. Means an object may be at rest with respect to one object, and at the same time it may be in motion relative to another object. For this, consider yourself sitting in a moving train. Then you are at rest with respect to your fellow passengers, but you are in motion with respect to the objects outside the train. You can consider the second example of this situation as I have written in the slide. So, you can say that the motion and rest are relative terms. Now, let's understand the concept of a point object. If the position of an object changes by distances much greater than its own size in a reasonable duration of time, then the object may be regarded as a point object. When a point object moves, its rotational and vibrational motion can be ignored. Example: a train under a journey of several hundred kilometers can be regarded as a point object, and also Earth can be regarded as a point object for studying its motion around the sun. So, instead of studying the motion of the whole body, we can consider the body as a point, and we will take it as a point object and can follow the same rules as we have to follow for that particular object. Now, we have to understand motion of an object in 1, 2 and 3 dimensions. For that, we have to find out the position of the object first, whether it is moving or at rest position. So, to locate the position of the object, we need a frame of reference. And as you have done in your lower classes in mathematics, the simplest way to choose a frame of reference is to choose three mutually perpendicular axes labeled as x-axis, y-axis and z-axis as shown in the adjacent figure. And to locate the position of an object, you need a frame of reference. A frame of reference is a coordinate system along with a clock. As shown in the last slide, a rectangular coordinate system having three mutually perpendicular axes intersecting at a point, and this point is known as origin, right? Further, the frame of references are of two types: inertial frame of reference and non-inertial frame of reference. You have studied Newton's laws in your 9th class, and we will discuss these laws in the next unit in detail. But for here, just note down that when a frame of reference follows Newton's first law of motion, then that frame of reference is inertial, and if Newton's first law of motion is not applicable to a frame of reference, then it is non-inertial frame of reference. Now, to understand the concept of motion in 1, 2 and 3 dimensions, again consider the coordinate system, and the point O is the point of intersection of these mutually perpendicular axes. And to measure the time, you can also attach a clock with this frame of reference. If any or all the coordinates of the object under consideration changes with time in this frame of reference, then the object is said to be in motion, otherwise it is at rest. For describing motion in one dimension, one of the three coordinates will change with respect to time, and this type of motion is also known as rectilinear or linear motion. For example, motion of a train along a straight track and motion of a freely falling body. But if two of the three coordinates specifying its position changes, then the motion is said to be two-dimensional motion. For example, motion of planets around the sun and the motion of a car moving along a zigzag path on a level road. Similarly, if all the three coordinates specifying the position of the object change with time, then the motion of the body is said to be the three-dimensional motion, as shown in the adjacent figure. A dot showing its coordinate x, y and z, if it changes from here, then if only x-axis changes, or along y-axis the distance changes, or along z-axis the distance changes, then it is in one dimension. If in two dimension there is change, means it may be xy, xz or yz, then it will be a two-dimensional. If x, y and z, all the 3 points changes, then the motion is said to be three-dimensional motion. And here you have to note one very important point, that position of object you have to measure with respect to origin, and if you are measuring position to the right of the origin, then you have to take the positive values, and if you have to take the left to the origin, then you have to take the negative values. Thank you.